can just say I pressed record. Record! What's up? You are back at my channel for another video. So this month we are talking about the fact that we're more than our setbacks. So many things in life feel like they take our identity and they were never meant to. Whether there's things we've gone through or things that we have, we're not meant to find our identity in them. And so one of the things we all experience in life is setbacks. And so last week I talked about what the Bible says about that, and this week I want to share a little more about my journey. We don't have to have experienced the same thing as people to be able to relate to the different emotions of life. I know that now for sure because so many of you have written to me and your stories are different to mine, but the emotions I relate to, I get it. And last year, I kind of mentioned in my first video, the happiest day of my life kind of turned into a really rough season. And I'm a PK, and so I was always taught in church, whether someone actually taught me this or it's just something I picked up along the way, which is what us church kids do sometimes. We create theologies out of just suggestions, but I know that I always thought that I would marry the one and it would be this fairy tale and I would be Cinderella without like the evil stepmother or, washing the floors. I don't know, or the mice, I don't know. Anyway, I'd be Cinderella. You get what I mean, right? I'd meet Prince Charming and back on track. And so when I did get married, you don't go into that thinking it's not forever. And yet a setback, the one that I promised forever to, isn't here. And I had a heartbreak that physically ached. You replay events and hope that they turn out differently. I don't know if you've ever watched a movie and you've seen it so many times, but you hope the ending's different every time secretly. I do that all the time, and I did that with my life for a little while. And so about a year ago, I was staring at a future that I had not planned, a loan that I had not planned, wondering, can this mess ever be cleaned up? So maybe you haven't been through a divorce, maybe you have, but I think all of us know the feeling of failure, the feeling of setback, the feeling of a label that threatens to dictate your future. That's where I found myself last year. The coolest thing is that I realized it didn't have to identify me. It didn't have to label me. What I have been through is not who I am. It's part of my story. And yet you come to this place now, a year later, I'm back in the city that I took some time away from, rightfully so. But I kind of had that same moment as Peter, where I wondered, maybe he ever wondered if he'd ever be around a campfire again, because that's where he denied Jesus, and yet Jesus used a campfire as the same location for his healing. To the same city that I found my heart broken in, the same city that I felt abandoned in, the same city that my dreams felt shattered, is once again the same city I'm living in, and the city that I love, and the city that I'm rebuilding in, and the city that I'm not going anywhere from. So I think God does that. As a girl that has been through my own share of setbacks, and am now somehow, can I say I'm grateful for them? Who knows? I think I am. And I'm excited for the future. I don't have all the answers yet. I don't think we ever get all the answers, by the way. If you have all the answers, let me know, because I don't think you ever get that. But what I do have is an identity that's bigger than my setbacks. I know I said that in week 4, sponsored by Apple. Not really. Oh, can I get in trouble for that? Oh my gosh, so many fingerprints. Okay, everything's fine. I also didn't realize that you would want to have so many conversations, and I've had so many emails and questions on my Instagram and people writing in, and I've been overwhelmed in the best kind of sense because we're actually talking, and so that's cool. And there was one letter that I got in that actually relates to kind of my story. And it's a girl, her name is Shanice. Hi. And she said, my name is Shanice, which I told everybody, so that was good that you said that too. I had a question for you. I noticed on your Instagram that you took some time off after, I'm assuming, your divorce. I figured that you took time to mourn and heal, and I was really encouraged by the fact that you chose to step away and acknowledge your pain. As someone who was always trying to push through the pain and be strong, I thought your approach was very brave. I'd be interested to hear what motivated you to step away, how you worked or are working through this season, and how God met you in that grief and loss. You know, I did take some time to step away, and I didn't want to. I remember walking into our church offices the week after things had kind of broken up, and I walked in and said to my boss, Julian, I was like, hey, cool, so what are we doing now? Because I think when you're in the middle of such turmoil and craziness, we don't even really have a grip on reality. I didn't even know that I needed to go and grieve. I was like, I'm a Christian. Jesus, you know, he'll keep me going, and let's just push through. Here's what I've learned. There's a very big difference between pushing through something and working through something. And I think if we don't stop to work through some of these setbacks in life, some of these things that are thrown at us, then they will come back to us. Nobody gets to skip the process. And so Julian sat me down that day and told me, I think it's best for you to go back to Australia for a little while and be with your family. And while I was there, I got some really, really good therapy for 4 months and just immersed myself in the pain of the season. And that kind of maybe sounds a bit morbid, but I think Christine Caine says to the degree that you lean into the pain is the degree that you'll have recovery. And I kept telling myself in those 4 months, keep leaning in, Elise, keep leaning in. When it was painful, I leant in. When it was easier, I leant in to go deeper. When I didn't want to answer any more questions anymore from my therapist, I leant in. Where I realized if I don't take time away, I'm gonna try to push through something that needs to be worked through. And I think God blesses those choices we make to deal with stuff rather than keep trying to work through. So next week, I want to chat to my dad, because my dad not only has had his fair share of setbacks as well, but I want to ask him to give you some of the advice he gave me when I was going through my setback. I hope you'll watch, and I hope that you've seen that God says that our setbacks don't define us. Hope you can see that in my story. I decided that my setback didn't define me. And then maybe next week, you'll join and you and me can chat to my dad. So yeah,